Boehner is the name on a lot of people's minds.
Yeah, and
right
the
now.
question is, can he survive this funding fight? Let's get the answer from a senior reporter for CNNPolitics.com, Stephen Collinson. He's live for us this morning in Washington. You know, there were some conservatives who voted against him to continue as speaker this time around, but they couldn't organize around a singular alternative. Are they more organized this time around? Can he survive this fight?
You know, that's a good question. We've seen this repeatedly over the last 16 months or so. You remember there was a government shutdown back then, which was again caused by the fact that Speaker Boehner has found it impossible to sort of corral the more conservative activist members of his caucus in the House. So once again, John Boehner is on a precipice. He has a week to figure out how to get out of this. And right now it seems like he's in a very difficult position, but he's sort of managed to deliver himself from the jaws of defeat before. And one of the reasons for that is it doesn't seem like there is any particular alternative Republican leader that could be any more successful in getting these conservative congressmen in line.
You know, if he gets through this one, OMB says that the Congress will have to vote for an increase in the debt limit come mid to late summer, so he may have to face this again. What does this mean moving forward for his speakership for this term?
Right, it's going to be very difficult. It looks like we're going to have another series of rolling political crises in Washington, and this is going to frustrate not just Speaker Boehner, but the Republican leadership on the Senate side, which wants to demonstrate that having won the midterm elections last year and got a majority on both sides of Congress, that they're able to govern effectively. And this is going to be something that's going to be very important running into the presidential campaign in 2016 and the Senate campaign, in which the Republicans have to defend some very sort of difficult seats on Democratic territory in a presidential race. So this is going to be very frustrating for the Republican leadership. It gives some ammunition to the Democrats, who can turn around and say, look, the Republicans have been given the trust of the American people, and they've squandered it, and they just can't govern.
Stephen, there's a Republican congressman who is close to leadership, says this about Boehner. It's a hell of a position to be in. I just can't imagine the frustration the speaker must have now. I wonder if there are alternatives, but the people, the conservatives who are voting against Boehner, they can't circle or consolidate around one. Are there plausible alternatives that are angling for this? I mean, what are the big names that are in the running here?
Well, there are some names that have been sort of thrown out there, but most people that have tried to challenge John Boehner have been more sort of stalking horse candidates who are don't have the sort of wide support to challenge the speaker effectively. I've been out at the Conservative Political Action Conference this week, just outside Washington. And people there are actually very frustrated that the Republicans have been unable to use their new majorities to effectively thwart President Obama's attempts to reshape the immigration system by executive order. They say they sent this Congress to Washington to change things. And, they don't mind that it's, on a politically difficult issue like financing the Department of Homeland Security at a time of rising terror attacks. They want somebody to act, and that's why it's going to be so difficult for John Boehner to forestall this challenge. But right now, and you're seeing this in the presidential race too, the conservative movement doesn't really have an effective leader who can get people behind him and effectively challenge the hierarchy of the Republican leadership.
All right.